Good morning, 10th grade. I wonder how you made out yesterday. Wonder if you got self-test completed. I never got a call, so I suppose you did all right. I'm going to give you the answers this morning for self-test, and I'm going to try to do that regularly, give you some answers just to help you out. So what I'll do, I'll show you the answer key for self-test 1, and that way you can check them. Now, in case you haven't completed self-test, stop right now, go back and complete self-test before you proceed any further. Okay? Here are the answers. Whoa, here's something on the hold still. Okay, start right there. Now can I back up and get the second line? This camera is off to the one side, so I gotta hold the book off to the side as well. Oh, there you're gonna see some today's lesson answers. That won't work. Well, it's just the right-hand column. Oh, there's today's answers. Whoa, I'll close the book. Yeah. I don't know if you're keeping up with the news or not. If you were and you see that the COVID-19 virus has claimed 1,000 lives yesterday. Yeah, it's just a reality that we can't really grasp, or I'm trying to grasp 1,000 people dying. The death toll went up from yesterday morning to this morning, 1,000. And to think of the small part that we play in this, reminds us of who our Creator is and how small we are. I feel for those people. I think we should pray for them and pray for our nation. So yeah, may you do that. Okay, today we are ready for section 2, and they're taking it very easy. It's not a real hard lesson. Somebody tried to call me here. Let me just get rid of this phone message here for a second. Oh, they need to know some information. I'll text them back quick. Now, how you like that? Me texting, you watching a video. That's a joke. All right, if you look at your section 2, on the first part, you are to graph. No, you read the directions. I won't read the directions all here. You read the first couple pages there, and what it's explaining. Oh my, they still want something. I think it's my daughter, and she's in bad need of something. I don't know what. In this thing. Now, you are talking about finding between two equations, you're going to find a point that is equal, and not all of them cross. Like here, this here crosses. Not all of your graphs, when you graph them, where the lines cross. Sometimes they'll be parallel, and sometimes they'll be right on top of each other. So that means that all points are the same. You have different examples there. Model, actually on page 40, it will show you how you will graph two lines, and then you'll put the number or the name on, or the point on that they cross. So what you're finding really today is just a common point between two lines. If you look at the first one, your answers can vary here, okay? just because you do number one and it comes up different than the way I did number one, that can vary. You still should be able to find a point where they cross, though, and that's the main thing this morning to keep in mind is to find a solution between two lines. So if you look at 2.1 on page 41, x plus y equals 4. And there you can just put in the numbers. Now it has to equal 4, but you could have a number of solutions that would equal that equation. So x plus y, let me see what I used. X plus y equals 4, I would say 0 plus 4. That's what I used. I went the simplest way as I could. So 0 plus 4 equals y, or I could go 0 and 4 for my first one, and the next one I went 4 and 0. So I didn't want to do any math. I could have used 2 and 2, but I used 0 and 4. So I went first one 0, 4, and I marked my point 0, 4. The second one I went 0, 4, and I marked my point again. And so you're supposed to label each one of your points. So if you look here, I have my 2 points. I drew my line through here. I even named it. It's x plus y equals 4. Okay? Now I get ready to do the other one, and it's x negative y equals 0. So x negative y equals 0. So I said, oh, well, that's simple. 0, negative 0. Just 0, negative 0 right there. I'm staying with the smallest numbers possible. And then I was saying, what subtract what equals 0? Well, then I could use any number. I could use 1 plus 1, which I would have put it right there. Instead, I chose 5 plus 5. Your solutions could vary. The point is, so I put that 0 here, 5 plus 5, 5 here. I went 5 over, 5 up. And so now, I drew a line through there, and right here is my point, and that's at 2.2. At 2.2 is a common point that intersects for both of those, so I wrote that on there. So that's all you'll do for the whole next page. 41 and 42. You will just simply graph those out, label each point. Each point must be labeled, each line must have a name. Okay, so put your equation on the line, and then find that center point. It's just a way to graph solutions and find their connecting point, or their point that they connect. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should do one more. I was going to go on to page 43, but maybe I should do that top one in 43. When I was doing them, I found that one to be a little bit confusing, so I sought a little help for that one. My first graph, let's erase this. I didn't like that fraction there in my equation. So we got 2x negative y equals 7. So if you'll go with me with my wild ideas, let's put 2 and 1, 2 times 1, subtract negative 5. So my first solution, I'm going to use 1 and negative 5. Where can I write that? Right here, 1 and negative 5. Because it's subtraction, you see. And the next solution, I use 3 and negative 1. And I use 3, negative 1. So let me show you how that one works. If I use 3, I go 2 times 3 is 6. And then if I use a positive 1, that would make me subtract a positive 1 would make me 5. Instead, if I subtract a negative 1, which that means you change to a positive sign, is 6 and 1 makes me 7. So these two solutions will be the answer for that top equation. So let's just graph that line while we're at it. While we have these two solutions, I have x. Okay, if I start out right here, I'm going to have, the first one is going to be 1 over, and then we'll come down to negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, my next one is going to be 3, negative 1. So I go 1, 2, 3 here. Okay, so I draw a line right up through here. Now I still have that tough one figured out. I still need to figure that one out, and I thought, what can I put in there? So I said, well, I'll just start with 1. So I started with 4 times 1 on the top line. That's 4. Subtract 14 makes me negative 10. Okay, divided by 2 makes me 5 negative. Oh, y is 5 negative. So I can put 1 in there and get 5 negative. And so I said, okay, that tells me that's exactly the same. Because I wondered what happened if I put 3 in there. So I put 4 times 3, so negative 4 3 is 12, negative 2, which if you subtract 14 from 12, you have negative 2. So I divide 2 into negative 2. Oh, that's 1. 2 going to 2, 1 time. It's a negative. Ah, it's exactly the same. When you go grafting out the next one, it's going to be right on top. Oh yeah, did you read in your instructions? In your instructions it said that some of them would be exactly right on top of each other. All points would be the same. So that's one of them. I think that's all I'll do for that one. Turn your page over to 43 and 44. Study those, and I'll tell you, this is not anything that I'm so familiar with. I just simply do each one of those problems, and so the way I learned how to do the lesson is I just do each model. I'll just do model 1 and just work it out on a piece of paper. You can look in the book, but for me, if I write it down, figure it out, it makes it easier. So if you're getting stuck somewhere, just go back and do your models. And that's what I did to get this next part. It's solved by addition or subtraction on page 45. It says use the checking procedure on any of you are unsure. Okay, get a little bit check a little problem, just check them. I'll show you how I did that. See if I can push those white glares off to the side. Okay, for number 1, there's a rule here that I had a little difficulty in to start with, but I'll just tell you right straight up front. If you have 2 positive ones, you will need to subtract them. And if you have 2 opposites, you'll add them. Now, I don't know where you get that rule. That's just the way they have done the problems. Now, you may need to do it differently. I don't know, but that's how I have come. So, you just simply, for this one here, you just put the 2 equations, and what you're doing, you're finding a solution. Without grafting it, you're finding a solution for the 2 equations. It's the point where they meet, or where, like on your line, when you graft them, it's the point where they cross. And if you come up with 0, look at your illustrations on model 3. If you come up with 0, the solution is infinite. The lines are coincident, that means they're on top of each other. If you're model 2, you come up with 0 in the x value, you say it's no solution, it's impossible. So yeah, that was just a little, let me get back here to the thing. subtraction is what I did. And so I subtracted 7 from 5, makes me negative 2. So now I come over here and I subtract the 2 from the x, which, if you do that, makes you a negative x. Okay, so if you take 2 from 1, you're negative 1. So I got a negative x and a negative 2, and you can get rid of that x negative. They're both negative, you can make them positive. X equals 2. So now you have one solution. Just forget about the y. Just forget about, you're isolating the y. Or you're figuring the value for 1, and now you'll take the 2, and you can put him in either spot. I put him with the x. I put the 2 equals x, and now I put the 2 here in the x spot. This is the same problem right here. I move it down here. 2 plus y equals 5. I think that's 3, right? 2 plus 3 equals 5. Y equals 3. So I say my ordered pair for these two is 2 and 3. Now it says check it. If you're in any question, you say, I don't know if I did this right or not. Okay, you should be able to put 2 and 3 equals 5. Sure enough. All right, well, try this one. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 3. 7. Got it. My ordered pair between these two is 2 and 3. Okay, let's do number 2. I'd rather do the addition problems anyhow. They're easier, but if you have a negative and a positive, then you add them. So add 4 and 8 is 12. Don't do the y. I like to do the x. I think you can do the y first if you want, but I think it's easier. I always do the x. Don't ask me why. X plus x makes me 2x. So I've got 2x and 12. I added it. And now I eliminate the x by itself. 2 into 2, 2 into 12 makes me x equals 6. Okay, so I just turn around and I move this top problem. Down here I put the 6 in the x spot. 6 plus what equals 8? Well, that takes a first grader to figure that one out. 6 plus 2. So y equals 2. So my ordered pair is 6 and 2. Again, check it. It says if you're in question, check it. 6 subtract 2 equals 4. Perfect. Try this. 6 plus 2 equals 8. Right on. Got it. This should take you 5 minutes to do this part here. And I'd like to sign you just a little bit more yet. If you notice on the board I put 39 to 45. I would like for you to have a little experience doing some on your own. So you study the page 46 and see if you can do 47. Okay? You're going to multiply in 46. So you do 46 and 47 today yet as well. I will give you a little heads up though, probably tomorrow I'll brush you up on those briefly before we go on. Enjoy your day.